Welcome to another session of our Vitality Chats. And today we have the honor of talking to Dr. Patti Giuliano, one of our dear friends and colleagues that we've known ever since chiropractic school, an inspirational chiropractor, mother, practitioner, and we're really honored to have her here today to speak to us and talk to us about what moves her through the chiropractic profession and through her life.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Nancy.
Welcome,
It's
Patty.
a pleasure to be here. It's nice to see you guys, even though it's from afar.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
So tell us a little, Patty. You want to tell us your background in chiropractic?
Get involved. How did you become who you are now?
Oh, it all happened 71 years ago. Literally, my parents, with great insight, they were not chiropractors, yet my parents brought us to chiropractors when we were babies. And so our whole life, we went to the chiropractor. We went at least once a month. So it wasn't just for symptoms and whatever. When we did have symptoms, they would cart us to the chiropractor. So that was my whole life experience. My parents did not give us medications. They didn't take us to medical doctors. They just told us, your body's going to heal you. Your body's going to heal you. Go out and play. You'll feel better. Go to school. You'll feel better. So that was imprinted in my mind that, you don't think about symptoms. You don't complain about them. You just do your life. And not until I was graduated from college and was seeing my chiropractor at the time near the college. And I said to him, I think I want to help people more. I have a degree, but I think I want to be a physical therapist. And he looked at me and he goes, why would you be a physical therapist? And I said, because I have a health and physical education degree, and that seems like the next step. And he said, why wouldn't you be a chiropractor? You've been going to chiropractors your whole life. And I said, can women be chiropractors?
Oh.
Now, that was back then. That was back in the 70s.
Exactly.
And right now, what? There's 50% or over 50% of certain chiropractic colleges are women. I was just oblivious to it. So he sent me to visit some women chiropractors. 3 months later, I was at Life Chiropractic College in Marietta, Georgia, where we met.
That's true. That's quite amazing that your parents of that generation had that foresight, I mean, that was not a generation who did that at all.
Something else in your story that I find fascinating, Patty, even with your experience of chiropractic and having all those seeds planted young, it didn't dawn on for you to be one until someone invited you in. And I think that how often that's the case, like we just, even if the signs right in front of us, we don't read them. And so the fact that this, chiropractor presented that to you at the right moment, at the right time, change the course of your life. I mean, you could have been a physical therapist working with who knows what, so it's amazing that you were open to that suggestion at that time.
So
thanks for acknowledging that, Nancy, because I keep thinking it's this thick Italian skull that it takes me a while to figure things out.
No, I think, to be when we were in chiropractic school together at the same time, and there was less than 10% of chiropractors that were women. And I remember that I had the same experience when I was thinking, what should I do? I heard Reggie Gold and was really inspired. And my father just said, well, I know a woman chiropractor. And I was like, you do? Because I had only seen.
Oh, okay.
He took me to a retired, I'll never forget, she lived in a trailer park in my town. And he took her there. She was so gracious. She must have graduated, and she was elderly then. So she probably graduated in the late 20s from Palmer. And she sat down and told me what a wonderful life that chiropractic, had given her. And I just was so inspired. But you're right. They just were not visible. So unless it's not a thick skull, it's just sometimes we have a time period where it didn't appear like all the options were open to us. They probably were, but I think an invitation makes it an easier path. So I'm really glad that your chiropractor opened that path for you, and you started off at Life, and that's where we met each other. So tell us some of these.
Well, I want to ask you. So you and your husband, Dr. Kevorkian, had one of the largest practices in probably Massachusetts, maybe in the country at some point in time. Before you left, and I'd like you to we have a lot of young chiropractors here who are really trying to make their vision and make their dreams. Can you talk a little bit about what advice you'd give them, based on your own journey, how to excel in practice, like how to really keep yourself motivated, keep yourself going and reach your goals. How you guys did that, you're a great team. And so I think it's
Still
really
are.
important. Yeah, no, you are, but you're a great team in practice. Neither of you are practicing right now, so makes it different.
Okay. So right off the bat, I would say be a good communicator,
Hmm.
know your objective, and be a constant learner.
Mm.
Okay. Now, before I met Peter,
Mhm.
I had my own practice.
Right.
So I did start in practice. I was very successful. I was meeting my overhead within 3 months of starting my practice. So how did that happen? I went out into the community. I am an extrovert. So I know it's a little more challenging for introverts to do that. Yet I would even encourage introverts to become an extroverted introvert, actually. Um, Communicate with people, meet people, talk to people. I walked around with my spine on Newbury Street in downtown Boston. How ridiculous is that? I don't think I'd ever do it now, but I would encourage people to
Yeah,
do
we do
that
that.
now.
Yeah.
I just I had a mission. I was on a mission that I wanted to save the world. I
Mhm.
wanted people to learn about chiropractic, and I was willing to do almost anything, not
Mhm.
just to allow that to happen. And so for Peter and I did not like practicing alone. So when he said to me, Patty, I'd really love to practice with you. And I had only known him for like 2 or 3 months. And I said, really? Well, then make me a commitment. And he said, okay, do you want to marry me? And I said, okay. So so that was 5 months after I met him. We got married, I sold my practice, and we started Westwood Family Chiropractic. And we did it the same way, guys. You went door to
Went door
door.
to door. Yeah, we did with
You
Fernandez
did.
surveys. Yep.
Door to door. We did talks
Yep.
everywhere, anywhere.
Yep.
Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, churches, uh,
Italian American Club, Kiwanis Club.
Italian. Yeah,
Yep,
I mean,
I did that.
that's
Yep. JC's.
So,
we
so,
all
so,
did
Patty,
that.
the passion is for this generation now. It's different. I mean, they do things online, they do things virtually. How do and of course, we were, of a generation where we hit the ground, and I think, it's for some people that might be like, well, we don't do that now. So, how do people convey? How would you recommend those young people to not get burnt out, like, and because when you're out in public and you're talking, if you feed off of
You
that,
feed off
you feed
people.
off
We
of
used to
it.
talk all the
Yeah,
time.
it's like we couldn't get enough of it, honestly. So,
Yeah.
but things are a little different now. And I mean, not
Yeah.
that, yeah,
So I was just in a panel discussion at Life West,
yes.
Mhm.
and there was myself, who was older generation chiropractor, and then there was a middle, and then there was a younger person, and she talked about how she does all of her marketing on social media. That's it.
Yep.
That's how she does it. That's how and she is very happy. It's very successful.
Mhm.
And so I think, the young people, why can't you do both, for God's sakes? Okay, so here's the key. You can have a bucket and you get all these people in the bucket, but if the bucket has holes on the bottom, you're
Mhm.
constantly
Exactly.
marketing and marketing and marketing. Our
Mhm.
practice,
Exactly.
like yours,
Yeah.
referral. We were 98% referral until I think 5, 6 years ago, when Dr. Catherine came into our life, and her sister, and they started marketing social media. And we said, let's do social media marketing. And I hated it. But okay, I didn't have to do it. But
Right.
here's the thing. It brought in so many people who probably, well, they were not our
Yeah.
Right.
our people,
Right.
Sure.
but Dr. Catherine got to start out as a new practitioner and interview or do a first visit consultation.
Mhm.
So many people, 30, 35, 40 people in a month, like other chiropractors boast about. And The ones that were meant to be in our office stayed in our office.
Mhm.
And she got to practice, 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 practice. And she is so good at it,
Mhm.
so good at it. And that doesn't happen if you see one new patient a week.
It
And
does.
when you're first starting out, you need to
And
talk to
you
people.
take things too personally. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like you've got to practice. It's just like you have to practice your technique. You have to practice the art of communications. It's all requires practicing. And you're right, you can't do that talking into a funnel.
I think the thing you have to be careful of with the social media thing, and I know, and we know Catherine well, we know how brilliant she is at doing what she does, is that there's a certain point in the beginning where quantity overrides quality. And you get the quantity and you practice, but there has to be a shift at some point where you then have created the quality and the experience so that you don't need to get 30 new patients in a month. You know, you can get 5 or 6 that stay. Because if you're watching, and I know that's some of the things that happens with the social media aspect, is these people keep getting 30, 40 new patients in a month, but they just keep pulling them out the door, and that's not effective. You should be able to, like you said, you should be able to learn from that because, like you said, now she's really good at it. And it's just like, you know, it's like the first adjustment. It's like when you start adjusting people and it takes you a long time to adjust them, or, you know, the quality of your adjustment is decreased and it increases as you get better and better. That's the thing that I think what people have to really look at when they're looking at their social media content.
I do think, though, Patty, the other piece that I think you're also saying is also what skills you don't have, go out and find them. You know, so for you, you're an extrovert and you're a communicator. And for some people, that's very hard. You know, but there are people out there that can help you. For us, our focus has always been on the kind of technique, the adjustment, you know, and if that's the piece that's lacking and you're not delivering the adjustment, you know, then you have to come out and find it. So it's, you know, finding your avenue. And certainly, Patty, we know, you know, your strength is in your communication styles, and certainly your second visit is you're kind of known for that. So you're traveling now through this part of your life, Patty, and what's the next kind of thing that you know, like, because, you know, I want people, I mean, like, there is no one way of doing anything and there's no straight path. And I think being open to change, being open to new adventures, to say yes to things that might seem impossible, and you know, that adds a lot to a life. So you know, I kind of like you to kind of share that because you've certainly gone through some pretty big changes in the last year in particular. So if you want to share, that would be great.
Yep. You never know. You never know what is going to come before your path.
Yeah.
Peter and I have always been dedicated and committed to this profession. We love chiropractic. We love the profession. We sort of love the politics. Sort of, kind of,
Some days.
but have always been involved. And I was on the state board in Massachusetts. I'm on many boards now. Peter's been on many boards. So when he got the call from Dr. Oberstein at Life West to come out to Life West and be his executive vice president, he said yes. And he asked me, and I said, F no. I didn't want to swear. At first, I just thought, I have just retired from active practice, not chiropractic, to your point. I will never be out of chiropractic. And now he wants me to move my whole life, 42 years of practice in Massachusetts, my kids, my friends, you guys being 15 minutes from us. And now we're going to move, you know, across the country. But I finally realized that that was the right thing to do for that next step. That was our next step, to be able to take all the knowledge, the wisdom, and the experience that we'd had in our practice. Plus, we've had 42 interns in the last 35 years, 42 chiropractic students who have come, lived with us for 3 months, and learned every aspect that we could teach them that they wanted to learn from our lives and our practice. And to be able to take that and then bring that to chiropractic college where we could have the influence.
It's huge.
You know, so I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no.
Yeah. You know, we talk about this a lot in our classes too. We talk about that leap of faith. You know, it's jumping off that cliff, which you both certainly really did. You jumped off a very large cliff, you know, not knowing what was going to be in the abyss that you landed in. And you're right. I think the knowledge that there are other things, other forces outside speaking to you, and that there are always bigger pictures and other, vistas to climb. And I think that acknowledging that helps you make that leap of faith.
And it might look a little messy in the beginning.
And it is messy in the beginning.
It's just
messy is good.
Yeah, it might look messy and like what the heck, but having known you these years and knowing the beautiful home that you created in Massachusetts and the amazing practice, and not only that, like I always think about Patti and her garden or in her greenhouse, and it was like just so mind blowing to me to watch you make this change and see what has come out of it. And I know that it wasn't always easy, but that you trust the process. You get the things you needed by reaching out to friends and support, as you helped you. But then you came up with this amazing thing that just happened. And you gave birth to another whole experience. So I really want you to share that and kind of tell us a little bit about what that's about.
Okay, after I stop crying, I will. Nancy!
Well,
did you do that to me?
I brought up your garden. That's what it was.
No. Oh, God. Yes, I created my book. Backwards to you, but
no, it's forwards. We got it. Look,
no, it is forwards here.
Got it. Move it over. Move it this way.
There we go.
We got our bookmark too, our official Patti bookmark.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, for years I've been speaking on several stages, most notably the New Beginnings, 3 times a year. And for 30-something years, people have been saying to me, Patti, I love your parenting style. And, please talk to me, help me. Why don't you write a book? And so 30 years later, here it is. Actually, I started in 2016. And I picked, like, there are 17, 18 stories out of a gazillion that I could have written, but that are all themed to give a point. So the theme of the book is, holy shit, I'm going to be a mom. What was I thinking? I remember you and Marty saying to me, Patti, it's going to be intense. And I kept saying, oh, no, this is Patti. Patti's going to have it perfect.
Easy. You just lay it right out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
And then I had kids. And I realized it is the hardest job for me on the planet. Everything else seemed to come easy to me. And so there were a lot of lessons that I learned, lessons that my kids taught me. And the main recipe that I got from my grandma, Sabalucha, is that you have to trust your intuition. You have to trust your gut. You have to lean on, when the hard times come, lean on your philosophy of life. Have a philosophy of life. Don't have other people's philosophy. Create your own. Know what your own philosophy is, and then follow it, because that is your guiding light. And then on top of all of it, come from your heart. Even in the toughest times when you want to take them and throw them into the wall, you have to stop, breathe, listen.
And then throw.
Always the comedian. We didn't talk about those in the book.
So I just want to put a little plug in as well, because one thing, Patti has many talents, but one thing Patti is a storyteller. So the fact that she made this sweet little book full of her stories and her recipes, it really is an amazing gift that you just keep giving, Patti. Like you just keep you find a way to take your gifts and keep giving. So you're uprooted from you're uprooted from what you were so comfortable with for 40 years and took a risk and created this beautiful story. And I think when you say there's only so many stories in here and there's a gajillion more, we expect more the next edition. When you have some time. So, but yeah, what I love about this is, and this is kind of the theme of a lot of our our vitality chats is that is like these little nuggets of like guiding you through life. And I love what you said, not only the philosophy, but coming from your heart, and really, and like when Marty said, like having leaps of faith and just trusting the process. It's not a linear road. It's not even an up and down road. It's just a path, and doing the best you can with it. And I love that, after you retired from adjusting, that you found another way to give and to share what you've always shared, which is your stories. So it's wonderful, like really wonderful. And I just want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you, Nancy. You made me cry again. Oh, yes. And if I were to change the title right now and then have all the same content in there, it's a book on personal growth, transformation, on philosophy of life and practice that certainly people can take and use throughout their life, throughout chiropractic practice. It's a great book for chiropractors to read.
Sure.
To know how do I deal with situations with my practice members. So it gives you communication skills,
Right.
it empowers you. And I feel like that has been my greatest gift, is not so much the adjustment, although I was a constant learner, constant learning my technique. Look what you two have been doing all these years, elevating the level of people's technical excellence. And
That's right.
bravo and
Yeah.
kudos to you for that. And I always that we need to keep doing that, and to always kind of stay focused on that, empower people, that I felt like empowering them, that they have the answers inside of them, that they are the healers, that there's an innate wisdom and genius inside of them that takes our adjustments and expresses it through their material body matter. And that was more important to me than saying, oh, isn't chiropractic great? It was more important to me to remind them it's not chiropractic. It's what your body did with the
Yeah.
chiropractic adjustment. So I need you to take some of that, the accolades for that, to take, because I don't want the responsibility of
Right,
if
that's
they
it.
wrong.
Of course.
Well, I think, people like I know us and you and Peter and the people we tend to gravitate to in chiropractic, our passion for chiropractic imbues every aspect of our life. And we constantly are redefining our philosophy. So one of the things you said to me, just a moment ago, which was clicking for me, is like, yeah, we make an adjustment regardless of how we make that adjustment, and how it expressed itself in that individual has nothing to do with us. It's how they express it. And what I like about the book and what I like about parenting, it's the same way. Like, we both put everything into our parenting, just like we did in chiropractic, and how our kids manifest it may not meet all of our projected desires or wants, but it's how it manifests. I remember talking to Peter a while back, and he was having a conversation with your son about it, and I've had conversations with my daughter about it. Why'd you guys do this? How come this? And Peter, and what he said to Crystal, what I've used in my daughter, he goes, your mom and I never woke up one day in our lives, got up, looked at each other and said, how are we going to F up our kids today? How are we never, and it's like, you don't go into your practice saying, you know what, which patient am I going to screw up today? We don't do that, but sometimes the manifestation of what their path is and what their road is, just like the manifestation, the expression of the adjustment, we have no control of that. We don't know what it's going to be. And like you have to trust in your intuition that if you did it with the right intention, you did it with the right integrity, and you put the right amount of force in at the right moment in time, that whatever expresses it, you just have to let that go. And that's really true with parenting.
Yep. The parallels are just amazing.
And so and just to, is there anything else you'd like to share, Patty, that, if we were talking a lot, so is there anything that you want to share in particular that you didn't get to share today about your process or your book or anything?
Well, I know that you had encouraged me to think about a memorable moment or experience.
Yeah.
And I think of one, and it's perfect to kind of wrap this up, is I had Connor and Travis, 8 years old and 10 years old, sitting in front of me, and I was doing their first visit consultation. Their parents were not in the room. Their parents trusted me to be able to go through that process. And I was holding up the spine and I asked little Connor, what makes everything work in your body? Do you know anything about chiropractic? And he goes, duh, no. And I said, so what's up here inside of your skull? And he goes, your brain. I said, yeah, your brain. Your brain makes sure that everything works in your body. It talks to your body and your body talks to the brain. Brother Travis sits there looking like this. I'm like, Travis, what's up? Dr. Patti, what tells the brain what to do? 10 years old. Very memorable moment for me because I thought, oh my God, you know, I have to be more careful and conscious to be able to remember that for people without missing a beat. I said to him, Connor, you have a brilliant genius, a wisdom inside of you, and that genius whispers to your brain and it tells your brain what to do, because your brain, you're right, your brain is a pile of mush like a computer. It needs to be programmed, and you have a wisdom and genius inside of you that programs your brain. So for anybody out there, use that story, because I use it with my hard-headed patients. You know, I explain to them in our health talks when I go out speaking out in the world. I use that all the time. I still, to this day, I used it the last time I spoke at New Beginnings, because it's really important for people.
It's a great, and children do that. I mean, if you're open to their wisdom, their simple wisdom, we get so complicated in our thinking, and they can just
But there are chiropractors out there who don't understand when we say we're a philosophical chiropractor. What does that mean? You know, we're all philosophical, but to follow, you know, our birthright, our 33 principles, to know that there's a universal intelligence and then there's this innate intelligence. And I think so many more chiropractors would not be constantly, you know, going down the road of trying to fix this, fix that, make their symptoms go away. If their symptoms go away, they make them go away. They refer them out. They're missing so much in what they can do to benefit humanity.
Yeah.
So
that's a wonderful, wonderful thought and a wonderful story. And thank you again, Patti. You're an amazing storyteller.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just want to say again, thank you so much for this book. Hopefully there'll be more to come.
And thank you so much for your time today. It was
Thanks
awesome.
for joining us, Patti.
And
love you guys.
you too. We'll be talking to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.